from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. We are live streaming throughout the world to you. You can pick up the show anywhere, wherever you are on your smartphone, iPhone, iPod, iPad, desktop, laptop, doesn't matter. Whatever you have that has the internet, Wi-Fi or not, you pick up the internet, you pick up us, and you can get Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time just by going to the homepage on WakeUpCallDT.com or by going to MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. It is an honor and an absolute privilege to have this gentleman back on the show. He's someone that I consider a friend throughout the years. He's someone that has sat with me and done some live things on site on location in Syracuse. And the day that he got drafted, with the 500 whatever phone calls he was getting, he answered my phone call. We actually got to talk for a few minutes, and I respect the heck out of him for moments like that. So, with that being said, always proud to have this man on the show, and always positive words when it comes to mentioning his name, and that is Jay Bromley, former Syracuse defensive lineman. And let's bring him on to the broadcast once again. Jay, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well, DT. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So tell me, well, we'll talk about Syracuse in a little bit here and the successes of the Orange, but you spent 4 seasons with the Giants, and then you went over to the New Orleans Saints. Bring me into your time with the Giants, who drafted you, and you were a third-round selection back in 2014. What did you take away from being a part of the Giants organization?
Giants are a classy organization, top-tier organization. When I was a free agent, I had the opportunity to visit different teams for the workouts and visits. And, it was clear that the Giants were one of the better organizations as far as all around. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity they gave me, drafting me the way they did, to give me an opportunity the way they did. I'm just happy that I had the opportunity to play in my home city.
And you had the opportunity to be around guys like Odell Beckham Jr. and Eli Manning and so on and so forth. What did you learn? Were there any guys that you really have those bonds with still, guys that you're close with, offense, defense, or special teams? Anyone you can name from the Giants that you built a connection with or had a good impression on you?
Thank God, man. I was always fortunate enough to make friends well with different people. Odell, we were drafted the same year, so he's always been super cool, man. So I've always had the question always at the end, so how's Odell? I'm like, man, he's a cool dude, man. He likes to dance. He likes to have fun. He's competitive, man. He's one of the best doing it at his position right now. And he's an overall solid guy. And, I've built relationships with numerous people, man. Victor Cruz was my locker mate for, 3 years. He was a solid guy, man. And JPP is probably one of the guys over the years that's been like a big brother to me. Olivier Verne is like a big brother, man. He's been super, just watching his work and just watching, seeing what he's done there. And knowing him as a person, Kerry Wynn is probably one of the closest dudes I'm with, since coming into the league. He's like a brother to me. I always had good rapport with everybody on the team, man. I'm grateful for that, because I've always been able to communicate with everybody. There's nobody, everybody in the organization. When I went back there when we played the Giants, there was a lot of love in the building from the fans and the people at the staff that worked at the stadium, to the security guards, to Eli, Odell. It was a lot of love in the building, so I'm just grateful for that.
Speaking here with Jay Bromley, defensive lineman who played at Syracuse, moved on to the NFL, still playing inside of the NFL right now. When you got to go back, like you said, those moments were big. I had the opportunity to come and see you a couple of years ago and be in the locker room and get to speak with you. You're always that guy who, at least from my perspective, when you're around somebody that you know or somebody you appreciate. You turned around in your locker, I was like, Jay, and as soon as you saw me, you're like, what up, Dan? And it was, it was all smiles and everything. You've always had that attitude, yet you've been through so much adversity in your life. What can you say about keeping that attitude and being a positive person and trying to, even through your strife and even through your adversity, find something to smile about? Because I feel that the world needs to hear from people like you who have been through hell but have found a way to find their heaven, so to speak.
I would say, man, especially now in my life, man, the younger I just always had the personality, man. My personality is always just, humble to an extent, and always being able to talk to anybody and not really put myself above people. The only thing I ever had in my life was work ethic. And that's what something I kind of laid my hat on. But as I've gotten older now, being 26 years old, the reason that that's important to me is to treat the CEO the same as the janitor, is because of just how God works in my life and how he's been working in my life, and with humility and just keeping the spirit of gratitude. Man, I don't necessarily deserve to be anywhere above anyone else. I'm grateful that God gave me the ability to work hard the way I did to attain the things that I've attained. But that doesn't make me better than anyone. As well as, just the same people you see on the way up is the one that old saying, the same people you see on your way down. So you got to continue to just, at least keep a good rapport in relationships, even if you're not talking all the time and different things like that. Because one old saying is, people forget what you bought them, they'll forget what you gave them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So, and that's one thing I've seen, really play a huge role in my life, like how I made people feel. That kind of always resonated to the next time I met them or spoke to them. They remember that over anything else.
Speaking here with Jay Bromley, a former Syracuse and current NFL defensive lineman, you speak about God a lot, and you said, that the people you see on the way up are the same people that you would see on the way down. So you have to, obviously treat people with respect, even if they don't treat you with respect or aren't the nicest to you, that they're, you got to be the bigger person. You've always had God, and we've talked about God, had that conversation, and I appreciate that tremendously, especially in a world that sometimes gets really scared to say anything about God these days. What can you say about God's role in your life, faith in your life, and what your life is with faith as opposed to what it would be without it?
Faith is a really solid principle in my life, and something that we as believers have to continuously condition ourselves to walk in, because it's the evidence of things not seen. We're not walking by what we see, we're walking by the faith of God. How God has played a tremendous role in my life is just changing my life. And shoot, God is the reason I'm married. God is the reason that I have a beautiful son and another son on the way. God is the whole reason I'm probably still in the league right now, regardless of my circumstance. And just because the season didn't go out the way I wanted to go, I got hurt, doesn't mean that it's God's fault. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's testing trials that God uses to make us stronger. People like to use God, when it's, better for them. Thank God when it's better for them. But then when it's not going great, they kind of want to, throw God under the bus. But it's like everything is a product of God, the good, the bad, and everything. But there's reasoning behind it. I was reading last night, God chastens those he loves. So what father does not chasten his son or his daughter? Because he loves them. So when you're going through hardships, ups and downs, and you feel like, maybe you're getting the short end of the stick, you got to remember that there's a purpose behind it, whether it be mentally or physically to strengthen you. You have to endure it with the right spirit and overcome it. And then when you get through that, you'll have a testimony that, others can, kind of grab hold to when you tell them, and they can get through their dark times.
And like you said, there is that notion of, people tend to turn to God a lot when they want something, and if they don't get what they want, when they want it, how they want it, where they want it, from who they want it from, then there is no God. How would you respond to those people that say, hey, I want a bag of money, and if it doesn't drop from the cloud right now, then God doesn't exist?
I think they have the wrong perception. Like me, I believe in Jesus Christ. That's my God, okay? So I believe that, if you look around the world, plenty of people would say that they believe in the Bible, but I think a lot of people have the wrong perception of who God is. They want the love of God. They want God's provision, and God has a lot of promises in, the Bible, but they like to draw God in a cookie-cutter frame to who he is to them, rather than who he is in his entirety. One of my favorite books in the Bible is Job. And Job is a story about a man that was right before God. There was no Bible, but he lived righteously. He did everything God, kind of wanted him to do that was written on his heart. And he wound up losing everything. All his children were killed. His wife was killed, losing all his money. He was sick. And it was basically because God allowed it. Even though he did everything he was supposed to do, God allowed it. And then he still never lost faith in God. And even when his thing started to win, God came down and was like, listen, don't not do everything. Don't not make the stars. Did not make the sun, the moon. He was like why, why is it above you not to go through trial and tribulation? You know what I'm saying? No matter how good you are, no matter how perfect you think you are before God, everybody endures. You know, Jesus Christ was perfect and he died. And that's the same love that we're asking for. So people have their own perception, but as they learn, God willing, they can learn, and people can come into their lives and gives them the edification so that they can learn to endure and be grateful. That's why I said gratitude is something really you have to really practice, you know.
That coming from Jay Bromley, and this morning having a deeper conversation than just football, and honestly, the conversations that I love going back to more than anything else in the archive, and I appreciate it very much so. Jay Bromley here with us, Syracuse defensive lineman, moved on to the Giants and is now a member of the New Orleans Saints. Jay, I want to get to Syracuse in just a second, but I got to ask you about the Saints, and I appreciate, and kind of, a nice transition from speaking on God to speaking on a team called the Saints. Drew Brees, the man is damn near 40 years old. His completion percentage is like 80%. I think it's 25 touchdowns to 2 interceptions this season. The team lost the first game and then has seen daylight since. What can you say about being a member of the organization? And I know that you're the guy that's always tasked with getting after the quarterback. What can you say about your quarterback in Drew Brees, who in my opinion right now, is the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now?
I think that's without a doubt that he's the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, you still got Tommy Terrific over there in New England, of course, who deserves every bit of respect that he gets. You have younger guys like Aaron Rodgers, you have the Bill Roethlisbergers, things like that. But I don't think when it comes down to it, nobody compares to Drew Brees. And I was fortunate enough to, like I said, be on this team this year. And when I was practicing against them and we were playing against each other, it's like you don't really realize how good you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird because it was like I knew we were good, but I didn't know how good we were. I knew offense was good, but I didn't know how good all that. Like, when Coach, Payne is a different breed when it comes to play calling. He's aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And he's, he wants to hang up 50 on you if he can. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. And he has the tools to do it. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Hill, the tight ends, the wide receivers, the young guys, the older guys, and it's constantly moving. So, and then you have Drew Brees back there calling all the plays. It's like there's no ball he can't throw. He's way more athletic than people would definitely want to give him credit, and his knowledge of the game. One thing I would just say about Drew Brees, his preparation was different, man. I just watched him visualize the game. Like, he would just stand on the practice field and just go through the game in his mind. And that was something amazing to me, just watching him prepare like that.
Drew Brees just set the record this season for all-time career passing yards, and it's 29 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this year, so he has a few more so far. But to look at what he has done, you talk about a fine wine getting better with time, and how, people say the NFL not for long, that, it's fleeting, that you have this dream, but it can be taken away so quick. What does Drew Brees teach you? Because the man has played almost 2 decades in the NFL. He's playing arguably his best football right now. So when you see that the NFL is not for long, yet for a guy like Drew Brees, he's made it last, he's had that longevity, he's taken care of himself. What type of representation of leadership and longevity has he been for you, being there for the time that you've been in New Orleans?
He's just, he's a professional, of course. He's a professional. In times that I've gotten down to sit down and talk with him, I know he's a man of faith. And, God has definitely favored him in different ways, and he's very fortunate for it. His work ethic is something that is always going to be one of the primary things that sticks out. I know he's a guy that's in the film room, probably when he's there and when he's not there. And, staying in great shape. When we do conditioning tests and stuff like that, Drew is in great shape always. And just watching him, man. And one thing I've learned too, like, I know Drew got counted out a long time ago when he got hurt, and they counted him out. They never thought he was going to come back and be what he was or be anything what he is now. And that just motivates me as far as my injury. My injury, I don't think, is nowhere near as bad. But, any injury, this is my first time being hurt where I'm actually missing the season. So whenever you go through new experiences like that, different thoughts can creep in your mind, of doubt and things of that nature. Am I good enough? You know what I'm saying? All these different thoughts can creep into your mind of negativity, and you got to block that out. And having a guy like Drew Brees, seeing what he does, you realize that, through faith in God and through work ethic and through, just persistence, you can make, anything can happen. And you can go from a career that could be over to one that, might be, just grow and blossom.
And when you see that, like you said, going through the injury that you're going through right now, first injury that takes a season away from you, what are you learning? Because you talk about Job and you talk about that book and your favorite book of the Bible and how God allows Job to suffer and allows these things to happen. And when Job keeps his faith, and when he starts to lose it a little bit, that, God says, didn't I make the stars? Didn't I make, like you were talking about before, didn't I create all of this? Why stop believing in me or think that you're above, a pain that could happen and whatnot? You're going through strife. You're going through adversity. You've been through adversity in your personal and professional life before. You're going through it again. How have you handled it? Have you had your weak moments and just how you've navigated through having a season taken away that, obviously was outside of your control?
I think when life happens at you fast, initially the response can be negative, or why me or different things like that. And, which is somewhat understandable. But when you have faith and you have faith in God, man, you have to really reassess the situation and look at the positives and what can come out of it. As much as it sucks for me to, get hurt and injured when I know that I can play this game at a high level, is that, I get to be home with my family. I get to continue in growing in my faith, in God and learning and growing and praying and different things. And I have to look at the positives in that. I have to look at the positives and being able to watch my son being around my son in a crucial time where he's learning a lot. He's influenced by a lot. He's just 1.5 years old. And to help my wife out, looking for a home. And I'm on IR, so I'm still getting paid like I was, at work. So, God, even in the midst of, something that's, I feel like, that took me out of the season, he still provided for me. So I'm grateful for that because it didn't have to be like that. I could have got hurt at any given time and not, this could have happened with me just working out or something like that, and it didn't. So I look at the kind of the writing on the mirror like that and say, you know what, this is an opportunity to grow in another way.
And I got, what'd you say?
And keep it positive.
Speaking here with Jay Bromley, Syracuse and NFL defensive lineman. I got to bring up this picture. You brought up your son and the picture that you have on Facebook with him, with you bumping his fist. First and foremost, let's give a shout-out to your son and let everybody know his name. And then secondly, just what you could say about what that relationship has done for you as a human being and not just a football player.
My son's name is Jason Jr. Jason O'Shea Bromley Jr. And you just learn, man. You just learn. I'm a father. I'm married with a son and one on the way. And, the way I grew up, man, it was, I didn't have my biological father and mother in my life. So I always want to, just continue to build in that relationship with my son and just have fun with him, man, enjoy him, And I watch him. I just watch him as he watches me. And the little dude copies everything I do. And it's amazing. Literally everything from words you say to how you move your hands, to I brush my hair, you want to brush his hair, everything. So it's like that responsibility falls on me, how he grows as a man. And I take that on. I take that on with a head of steam, knowing that that's what I got myself into. And I thank God for him. He's healthy. And he's a beautiful kid, man. He's a beautiful, fun, funny kid. And it changed my life, just being grateful. My work ethic, I live for something. My purpose is bigger than life. My purpose is to, ultimately to preach this gospel, to make disciples of Jesus Christ, to let people know that God is real and he's impactful in this world. But also, under that is to raise my son, the right way, and, to love my wife the right way, and to grow as a man. Because I'm only 26 years old, man. I got a long way to go. But one day at a time and full steam ahead.
And you actually, you've been, and again, you've been tested, you've been through a lot. Back in 2017, you posted a picture seemingly lying in a hospital bed with a bunch of things attached to you, and you said, I want to say thank you for all the love. It's been a long day. And you found a way to have comedy in it. You said, I want to say Geico just saved me a bunch of money on my car insurance. You know, bring me back to what happened back in 2017 and how you and I thought we had some things in common, Jay, but, you know, when disaster strikes, the comedy part of it, and you know, like you say, I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance thanks to Geico. Just bring me into that, man.
That was just, I think honestly, if I remember correctly, that was a sleep apnea test, right? So I had to go into New York City and sleep in like this room and then hook up all these wires to you and stuff. And it was just funny, like, as far as the comedy aspect of it, man, keeping it light, keeping it fresh, that's just me as a person, man. Anybody that you meet that knows me, from my teammates to family, man, that's just who I am. I just want to make people laugh. I just want to enjoy the moment, enjoy the time. Before, I never dreamed of being a football player when I was younger. I always wanted to be a comedian. So, you know, that kind of is always reinforced in how I treat people and how I love people. You know what I'm saying? It's through comedy. You know what I'm saying? It's through make you laugh. I want to take something that you might have thought was a flaw on you, and I want to make you laugh at it, to realize that it's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes this life is serious. But something you got to learn, you're either going to laugh or you're going to cry. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing you got to understand. You're either going to laugh or you're going to cry sometimes. And God willing, I choose to laugh.
Well, that's the beauty of it all. And I said this a long time ago. I said, you know, you can either, you know, because I've been through the things that I've been through and the things that have happened. I had a choice, and I made a decision. I dated someone that had definitely given me a lot of strife back in the day, and I had a choice of, and I realized this with her. I can either be depressed, cry, and sit in a house and feel like I don't want to be here, or I could find a way to laugh through my pain. And if I laugh through my pain and I turn this and I make it something funny and I lighten it up a little bit, I have two choices. I can either be depressed or I can laugh. And I realized that when I started laughing about it, when I started releasing it and putting it out into the world, other people started laughing, other people started feeling it, and other people started to understand that they're not the only person that's going through it. So I believe the whole, you know, laugh through the pain is a lot better than just sitting there and sulking in the pain.
It's just pain at the end of the day, man. It's gonna happen. It's like, you know, the rain falls on everybody, the righteous and the unrighteous. So, man, everybody's gonna have their versions of pain and stuff. But pain is temporary. You know what I'm saying? It's temporary. Even, you know what I'm saying? Even people that have pain every day, it subsides for a time. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, something else takes the place of it. Like my arm right now, I can't extend it all the way because, I had surgery and I'm about a month out, and hopefully I'll go to the doctor tomorrow and they give me the ability to start recuperating. But it's going to be painful to get to where I want to go. You know what I'm saying? To get back to full strength, to get this arm to where I can punch people and knock 320, 30-pound men around again. You know what I'm saying? But if I want to do that again, I know what it's going to take. And I'm not shying away from the pain. I'm looking through it. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to endure it. I'm going to overcome it. And that's my mentality, you know? You can't be a pessimist, man. You can't be, man. There's no way to be positive in life being a pessimist, man. You got to be an optimist in life and looking at things as far as what they could be. You know, got to have vision.
And I gotta go off of that with you for a second here. Speaking with Jay Bromley, is that, you know, like you said, you can't be negative with it. You know, it's going to happen. You gotta feel the pain. You got to know the pain's there. Something that I've gone through very, very recently in my personal life. I said I got thrown into the fire, and I complain in the beginning. Why am I in the fire? Why aren't you in the fire? You did this. I didn't do this. Why am I sitting here? And then I have, after a few minutes of complaining about being in the fire, I start to love the fire. And then, you know, it's kind of like the shirt's off in the fire and you start to Hulk out in the fire and you start to feel that fire, and then the fire starts to be a part of you, and then you start to own the fire more than the fire owns you. Can you speak to that a little bit?
You know, I guess to me, what you said kind of, you know, I don't know why this rung in my head, but it did. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, the size of the fight in the dog. You know what I'm saying? Like I like, you know, we talk about, like, my sons, they're gonna be dogs, and that's in every positive meaning way. And when I say that is they're going to have fight. No matter what happens in life, you're going to have fight. Like, there's no giving up. You know what I'm saying? Like, my wife, I love her, you know, but I know I'm still working on her. She would be one of them people like, man, if I was on a desert island by myself, man, just kill me. You know what I'm saying? but I'm the person to tell my wife, nah, man, I ain't just giving up. We going to figure this out. We going to eat some coconuts. We going to build a raft. There's going to be castaway, man. We finna figure this thing out. Right? I don't care how bad the situation is. We going to figure something out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if I have $10 to my name. That's never really a fear for me because I know how hard I work. So if I had to be a garbage man, or if I had to mow lawns, or if I had to, you know, be a dishwasher, I've done it before. So it's never. I don't fear going back to it. Don't get me wrong. That's not my choice. I would not like to. You know what I'm saying? I like being able to take care of my family the right way, but that fear is not in me. So I just think of everything as just being a dog. Like, whatever life throws at you, man, like, take it, man. If you, especially if you deserve it, you know what I'm saying? You deserve it. Like, you put yourself in that position to be hit on the face like that, hit on the chin, man. You got to man up and take it. Like, your consequences to your the fruit that you put forth. So as a man, you take that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at life.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Syracuse, I want to get to this really quick here. You're obviously always going to be a part of Syracuse football history. Dino Babers, this team is 9-3. They have not won 9 or more games since 2001. They have not been ranked in the top 25 in the AP and the Coaches Bowl combined since 2001. So it's been almost 2 decades that we've seen Syracuse get to 9 wins, seen Syracuse get to, this stature and in the top 25 in the nation. And they have an opportunity of having a very late December bowl game, probably in warm weather, in my opinion. What do you think about Syracuse? How much have you been paying attention to what Dino Babers is doing in Syracuse right now?
I have, and he's definitely made me, pay more attention to it. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited those guys are playing, lights out. They won some really big games this year. And, I wish Dungy would never got hurt in that Notre Dame game. I believe that would have been a lot different. And because they done went and jumped into the top 3. So it's just, I just really like what he's doing there. He's changed the culture, man. Like I said, man, when I got there, we went to 3 out of 4 bowl games in my years, and that was a start, you know what I'm saying? And then we went down for a little bit. Now he got us back on the right track. I just, hope that he continues to do that. He stays with the team and stays consistent in bringing the right people in and getting the job done.
Eric Dungy, I know you just made mention of him. What can you say about him? You're inside of the NFL. You've been around a bunch of NFL quarterbacks. Taysom Hill, who's in the New Orleans Saints, is a utility player who is a quarterback from BYU who will play quarterback and returner and running back, tight end, whatever he needs to do. Dungy kind of has that feel to it a little bit. Would you put Dungy in the NFL, and does Taysom Hill remind you of Dungy or vice versa? Is there a similarity there of Dungy being a utility player, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's bigger than Taysom as far as height-wise, but I believe, from what I believe he is. But Taysom is a huge guy too, and Taysom is one of them German switchblades. They like to say, man, he's just a guy that can do it all. Honestly, it comes down to I think Dungy, if he wants to dedicate himself to quarterback, if somebody gives him a shot, then I know he's tough enough to make that, do that, and you're not going to run as much in the NFL because it's going to add up too much. So I would like to say that. Can he be like a Taysom Hill? He has to be in the right system because you never really see it. You don't really see a Taysom Hill other than with Sean Payton. You know what I'm saying? Utilize him the way that he does. And then Taysom Hill is a dog because he's not just waiting to freaking play on offense and run the ball. He'll play tight end. He'll play fullback. He'll go down there and smack you on kickoff. He'll smack you on kickoff return. He'll return the ball for a touchdown on you on punt return. There's nothing that this guy cannot do on the football field. So, I think Eric Dungy has the possibility of doing anything, but I want to give Taysom much respect that he is one of a kind in what I've seen in this league so far.
And Syracuse, moving forward, just what you can say about the hashtag out there, Pay Dino, if you feel that this should be a done deal and Dino should be the future of this team. And then secondly, I have him projected at the Camping World Bowl down in Orlando, Florida. Do they deserve to be in the warmer weather at this point? The Pinstripe Bowl I know is close to home for you, but I feel like 9 wins should put them down south and the fans down south. So, number 1, should they pay Dino? And number 2, do you feel that they have more than earned the right to be in warmer weather in December?
I feel like, man, if he wants to be there, him. I mean, if he wants to be there and he wants to continue to build on this organization in Syracuse, like, you know, because I think that if he stays there and with the trust that he'll get from the recruits and all that stuff, he can build this program into a top 10 program. We all know if you can get the right athletes, Syracuse can be a top 10 program, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? So, because we got the dome, we got, you know, the campus, we got the education, you know what I'm saying? We got the school pride kind of thing. And so I think that that's a no-brainer. If he wants to do it, he can do it. And as far as the warm weather, yeah, man, tired of going to the cold, man. Hey, man, put the boys down south somewhere, man. Like, they earned it. They earned a BCS bowl game or something, like something nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, they earned it.
No, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think I've earned it, Jay. I think I've earned the opportunity to come down to the South and enjoy that a little bit. So I appreciate you, as always. I know you're back home doing your thing right now, but, you know, hopefully you and I can get some FaceTime at some point and be able to sit down with each other again. It would obviously be my honor, as always, and I thank you for everything that you do.
All right. Thank you, DT, man. I appreciate you allowing me to be on your show today, man. Hope your number success. And
I appreciate it, and I hope you get some good news from the doc over there, and give my best to your wife and to your baby and to your baby on the way as well.
Thank you.